Hey there, fellow coders. Welcome back. Today we have got something truly exciting on the menu, OpenAI APIs. Now, if you have ever wondered how to infuse your projects with the power of artificial intelligence, you're in for a treat. So grab your favorite snack, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive into it. So, first thing first, what is OpenAI API? Well, OpenAI is at the forefront of AI research, and their API or application programming interface is a very powerful tool that allows developers to tap into the immense potential of cutting edge models like GPT 3.5, GPT 3.5 Turbo, and recently they have announced GPT 4 Turbo. So, using their APIs, you get basically access to these powerful models. Now, if you are not into programming, I know API might sound a bit techy, but fear not, today we are going to make it super easy for you to get started. One of the coolest things about OpenAI API is how easy it is for you to get started. Whether you are a seasoned developer or just dipping your toes into the world of programming, OpenAI has got you covered. Trust me, you don't need a lot of coding experience to build the tools, build the project that we will be building in this short tutorial. So let's dive into it. So before diving in, let me show you what we will be building in today's tutorial. So this is a very simple project that we'll be building. It has a back end and it has a front end. It basically talks to OpenAI, gives me the response. You can ask it any question the same way as you do in the ChatGPT UI. Um, I can just ask it to tell me a joke, and I'll hit send. I'll wait for a response now, and here it is. It gives me a joke. So basically, this is what we'll be building. To get started, the first thing which you'll have to do is to sign up, of course, on the OpenAI website. So you can go to you can just make a Google search and type in OpenAI API, OpenAI login. So I think this is the URL. So if I open it up in an incognito mode, so and go to this URL and the login part. So this is basically the URL, which is u-login, u/login, where you can just go ahead and create your own account on OpenAI's platform. Now you can use any of the social sign-ins, of course. Now, after you have signed up, the next step would be to get an API key. Now, think of it, think of the API key as your golden ticket to access OpenAI APIs. Now, don't worry, it is not going to be tricky. It is just going to be a few clicks, and you'll be able to get the OpenAI API keys. So you can go to this URL over here, go to the API keys. The URL is platform.openai.com/talk/overview. On this page, go to the API keys section. And here you can see that I have two API keys created. You can create your own over here. Just click on this create new secret key and it will just create a new key for you, which we'll be using next. So this brings us to the next step, which is the integration part. So this is of course going to be the most exciting and fun part of this project. So OpenAI provides clear and concise documentation to guide you through the entire process. Sometimes it is as easy as copy paste. You'll get a reference code which you can just copy and it will work out of the box. So, but hey, that's enough of talking. Let's see this in action. Brace yourself for some AI powered awesomeness. Okay, so now I've opened up my terminal and I have created a folder. Now this is the folder that will be basically having our code, and there'll be a backend and the front end for this project. So let me create folders for them. So I'll just create mkdir backend. So before going building a backend, what we need to focus on is to just being able to call the OpenAI and see the response in terminal or somewhere. So I will just open the entire thing in VS Code. So you can, of course, use your own um, text editor of your choice. So this is the backend folder. I'll open up a terminal over here. Now I'll just create a utils.py file. Now this is the place where I'll be storing the code that will be calling the OpenAI APIs. And for that, we will be needing some dependencies. So one of them is, of course, pip install OpenAI. This will install OpenAI for us, and now we will be able to import OpenAI just like this. Now, once we have Actually, the import should be from OpenAI import OpenAI. Now we'll be creating a client, which will be basically an object of this class OpenAI. Now let me create a function and I will call it def get response. You can of course get creative and name it differently. So this function is supposed to get a query. So this query will be the query which we will be asking to ChatGPT, and we will be expecting a response out of it, out of this function. Next, we'll be using the ChatGPT's completion API. Now, in the next videos, in the future videos, I'll be explaining what this completion API is actually. For now, you can think it of as an API call that will give me the response from ChatGPT, and it can be useful in two of the scenarios, whether you have a single conversation, like just the way we did before, like I asked ChatGPT to give me a response, tell me a joke, and it gives me a joke. So there is no past context for that query, but there can be situations where we are asking ChatGPT and the question that we are asking depends on a previous question that we have asked it. So there has to be some future context, some past context for the next query. So that we'll be looking to the future tutorial, so you don't need to worry as of now. So we will just create a variable called completion, and client dot chat dot completions dot create. And this function call requires a certain parameters. So one of them is model. So model is the model that we will be calling. So it will be GPT 3.5 turbo. The next parameter is the messages. So messages is basically a list of Python dictionaries, and it basically gives the context to the ChatGPT API of what the past conversations were. So a message can be either of the three roles. It can be a system role, it can be a user role, or it can be the assistant role. Now, the system role is basically a system message that you supply to the ChatGPT to set the context and to inform ChatGPT of it just of what you are expecting out of it. So it sets the behavior, it sets the tone of the ChatGPT responses. So, for example, if you wanted to respond in a parrot's tone, you can just supply it in the system's message. Now, user's message is the message that you ask to the ChatGPT, that is your messages, and assistant role is basically the message that the ChatGPT responds to us. So for our use case, what we need, since it is a single conversation, meaning I just ask one query to ChatGPT and it responds back. So I won't have to worry about supplying the past messages as of now, but in future I'll be making tutorials where like the context of past conversations will be required for the response. So we'll be covering those in the future tutorials, inshallah. So let's get started in this one. So I will just set the system message for now. So role will be system, and the content would be to you are a helpful assistant, answer the queries as accurately as possible. So there's nothing much in this. I just tell it the assistant to answer the queries, and that's it. We are not setting any tone over here or anything. But of course you can do it, and that will be a fun thing to do and try it out. I would love to see you try it and let me know in the comments how it goes. So, and the next message, which will be, I've just copied this line and pasted it over here. So the next message which we'll be supplying will have a role of user, and over here I'm just passing the query. So query is the query which we are asking ChatGPT. So I've just received it as a parameter in this function, and I'm just giving it back to the completions API. Now I'm expecting a response out of it. So we won't be how to extract the response out of it. We'll look into it, but let's first check what it actually is the response. What actually is the response. So let me just call the get response, give me a joke. I'm just running out of ideas, so I don't know what else to ask as of now. So I'll just ask it to tell me a joke. Now Python, if I just run this file, it should give me, it should print the completion API response, and from there we can just inspect. So better do, since this is going to be an object, so let's visualize it as a dictionary now. Okay, so we have faced an error, which is that we don't have we have not set the OpenAI API key. So this is the environment variable that it is expecting. So we will be setting it. So I'll just create a new file called env, and uh, I will just set the API key in this file. So you'll have to set it like this. The value will be going over here. So whatever your key value is, you should paste it over here. I have mine. I'll just copy it right away, but I'll not show you. Okay, so I have created this .env file, and I'll just source it now so that my environment variable is set. So here we go, our environment variable is set, and now once we run the code now, it should not throw an error now. Python utils.py now. So yeah, so here is the response that we have received from the completions API. It says it has a choices attribute. So it's basically an object. So it has a choices attribute that we can use. And so basically choices is a list, as you can see, and it has a message attribute that we can use. And so basically message.content is something that contains our response. So we basically need this thing. So what we will do, we will just return completion dot choices. We will be needing the first one, and message dot content. Sorry, content. No, this is the final response from ChatGPT, which we need. So this is it. This is all that we needed for this function to respond us with the queries. So let's test it once more. So I will just ask it to explain me quantum physics. So let's see if it is able to explain to me quantum physics, and it should just throw me the output and not this object. Ooh, okay. It didn't print. Oh, it didn't print because we didn't print it. So let me try that one more time. Ooh, so there's a lot of output over here. Quantum physics is a branch of physics that studies the behavior of matter and energy at the small scales. So, okay, there you have it. You have the response from ChatGPT, and this is the function that we can use and start building our backend. So, at the core of it, our backend is just this function, and we don't need anything else. So, for the backend, now the rest part would be to build a wrapper, the API wrapper for this. Fast API would be the best choice for it. So, we will create main.py file, and in the main.py file is we will be writing our backend code. So for that, we'll be needing Fast API and another server, which is called Uvicorn, which will be running our development server in our case, and we can use it for deployment as well. So now I'll do pip install Fast API. This is it, I think. The Fast API is installed, and another thing was pip install. Let me search it. So yeah, the other dependency is the UVCon web server. So these two dependencies we'll be needing for building our backend. So let's get started and write some code now. From Fast API, import Fast API, and then we'll be needing our utils that we just built. From utils import get response. Now the next part would be to write a handler function just for a URL. So I'll just call it def read, or I can say answer query. You can name it anything you want. It will have a like argument, or you can say it as a string query params. Basically, it will receive a query params of q, and it'll give me a response. Now I will just do open AI response, get response with the q, return. I will return a JSON object over here with a key of text, and the response is OpenAI response. Now, this is it, and of course, we need the Fast API app to be created. So, Fast API app is created now, and the decorator to map the route for it. App.get slash, I'll name it ask. So, if you hit the slash ask URL with a query, it with a query param of with a query param queue, it will give me the response. So let's spin the server now and see if it works. So this is the command for it, uvicorn main app. So this is the main file, and this is the app, and uh, hyphen reload basically tells to reload the server whenever there is a change. Let's test it out now. Now the server is running at 8,000, I suppose, and slash ask. I've already tested this URL, so this is what we are going to use. So slash ask, and we are sending a query of tell me a joke. Now let's see what it responds. So here it is. It gives me a response. So we have an API in place that we can use out of the box, that we can use out of the box, and let our client consume it, and we can build something on top of it. So we have this is pretty much it. We have the backend ready. Now let's head over to front end. Now for the front end part, we will be using React, as I've mentioned before. So let me have a new terminal window. I will be using create React app. So create React app ChatGPT UI. So this is the command npx. If you don't have npx installed, you'll have to install it. Of course, you'll need Node.js as well on your system, and npm as well. So this is the command, and this is the app that we are creating, ChatGPT UI. Now once I hit enter, it will create a fresh React app for us that we can use and build our UI. Now, this is not a tutorial on UI, so I don't think I should spend much time building the UI. Moreover, the UI which you saw before, I took it from the internet. I took it from CodePen. So I will just copy and paste the UI code for now. Okay, so it is done creating, and we have our create React app, the React app, and if we run the server now, yeah, it should give me a blank React app, as you must have used if you've used React before. Now, what we have to do is that we have to build a client UI that talks to our API and gives me the response. Now, this is the backend code, so don't confuse the backend code with the front end one. So I've closed all the backend code now. This is the UI code, the ChatGPT UI written in React.js. And if you go down to this folder app.js, basically I need to replace the code for this. And app.css is the CSS file that will be, we won't be changing this one. In fact, I'll be just creating a new file, chat.css, which will have the entire CSS which will be required for our project. So I'll just go ahead and copy it, because there's no use going through the CSS code in a tutorial on ChatGPT APIs. So I have it, I've pasted it, and on the app.js file, let me just go ahead and copy the app.js file as well. So Yeah. Okay. So what I'll do is that I'll just this part needed some explanation, so I'll just go ahead and so yeah, this part needed some explanation, so I've just gone ahead and deleted the code, and I'll just rewrite it so that I can explain the code to you. So this one is the standard JSX that we are returning. So basically, we'll be needing two states for our UI. So one is the messages, set messages, and and once the UI starts, there has to be some initial text, as you saw in the demo, that ChatGPT says that how can I help you. So that happens that ideally we should set it as an initial default state. So I'll just create a default message, and I will just copy it, paste it over here. So the first default message is this one, and it's basically an object that has sender, the message, and the timestamp of when the code is when the code is sorry, when the message is sent. Default messages, yeah. And the next state that we need is, of course, the new message that the user types in. So I'll call it new message, set new message, use state, and set it to blank string for now. And it needs timestamp, so we need the timestamp object as well. So here we have it. These are the two states that we need. And next is, if you go down and see this code, by the way, all of this code will be available on GitHub. You can just go ahead and just use the code and modify it however you want, and build something out of it. And please do show me what you build out of your code, because I'm really very interested. So over here, you see that we have a function called set new message, which is basically coming from the use state, and this is the handle send message. So this basically does the calling the API and getting a response and doing and displaying it in the UI. So basically, we need to build this function. So handle send message. First of all, I will do prevent default. Next, the first thing that we need to do is whenever a message, whenever someone hits the send message, is to do some sort of validation that if new message dot trim equals if it is an empty string and the user is just hitting the return key, enter send key, then you don't do anything, you just return, because we don't want to send empty strings to our backend. Next, what we need to do is that we need to append the message that the user has just typed in to our list of messages, so that it gets displayed in the UI. So for this, let me create a new messages object. So this is the new messages object, which will be basically a copy of the message plus messages plus the new message. The new message is basically the message that the user has just typed in, and is the query that he or she wants to ask ChatGPT. Now I will set the message. Now next part is the most interesting part is to ask ChatGPT our backend and talk to it. So for that, we'll be needing a library called Axios. So install npm install Axios. So this is the library that we need so that we can make calls to our backend. And I will just copy in the code again and explain to you what it does. Okay, so let me see if I copied it correctly. Okay, so there we have it. So this is the Axios call to our backend, so which is running at localhost 800, and we have just sent the URL encoded version of our message, and whatever response we get in, we just append to our messages just the way we did it over here, and we're just appending it over here. And then we after doing this, we should the message should be displayed on the UI. So let's test it out and see if it is working, or if there is any issue, let's try to fix it. So okay, there are two images that we need over here, which is the ChatGPT image and the SV user image. So let me just copy it. I'll just copy it and get back. Okay, so now I've just copied the images over here. So as you can see, this is the one image, this is another image. So it's an SVG image. And you can see that this is the image which is coming over here, because initially the message is from ChatGPT. And if you go and have a look at the code in the GitHub repository later on, you'll figure out like how this works. It is not difficult at all, and it is very easy. So yeah, now that out of the way, we have this thing, the UI built. Now let's see if it works. I will just open up the dev tools. I will type in tell me a joke. Oh, it is facing some error, which is the course error. Now, the web browser is expecting this header to be sent in the response, so that it is able to allow the request to go through or not. So for that, we don't have to do much. There's a fix for it that is required from our backend code. So in this file, we'll have to make very little modification. So first of all, you will be needing the course middleware module from fast API dot middlewares dot course import course middleware. Now this will help us set the course headers. So next we'll have to define origins, all the origins that we are allowing. We are allowing. So the only origin as of now that we are allowing is the localhost 3000. Now there we have it. We have our origins array set. Now we'll have to tell our app that okay, you can send the headers and allow all these origins. So for that, again, a line of code will be required, which is app dot add middleware, and the middleware which we are adding is the course middleware, and it will allow allow origins. The parameter of allow origins, the value should be origins, and allow credentials will be set to true. We are allowing all methods as of now, and allow headers is all, which will allow all the headers to come to our backend. Now with this set, it should be good to go, and we should not be facing that issue anymore. So let's give it a try. I'll just refresh the page and then ask it to give me the name of a flower. Let's see. Okay, here we have it again, the same issue. Now let's see if we have made any error over here. So it says app.add middleware, nothing wrong over here. Course middleware, allow origin localhost host 3000. We are calling from 3000. That's fine. Allow credentials true. Let's give it a second try. Let's say give me a sandwich. Ooh, now it gives me a 500 error. Okay, what is the 500 error? So for understanding what the 500 error is, uh, It says init got an unexpected keyword argument called allow origin. So, okay, it should be allowed origins. Now it should work. Now, if we just refresh the page and ask it to give me the name of a flower. Ooh, assignment to constant variable app.js44. Now there is some issue with our front-end code now this time. I will just go ahead and change the code so that the issue is fixed. Now it says app.js44. It says okay, now timestamp is a constant. Ooh, okay, so let's set it to let. Change it to let, and hopefully this should work this time. Let's refresh the UI now. Tell me a motivational quote because we really need it now. There we have it. Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And we have gone through all the codes. We have faced a lot of issues, a few issues, and we have overcome it. And we have finally found success in building our very first tiny version of the ChatGPT UI. So I think this is it. And there you have it. With just few lines of code, you've unlocked the potential of OpenAI API. Well, my friend, that brings us to the end of today's tutorial. We have covered the basics of OpenAI API, from signing up to unleashing its power in your projects. If you have enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to explore next. Until then, happy coding and stay creative. Bye.